Okay, today our lesson is going to be 8-2, Estimating Quotients. The first thing you're going to want to write out and remember is your basic facts and thinking of compatible numbers. Okay, so if I start out with this problem, 460 divided by 9, well, I know that if I go backwards the way that I thought previously, so blank times 9 equals 46. Well, if we think about that, there's nothing, sorry, I'm gonna fix the video there. There's nothing that goes with 9 that's gonna make 46. However, if we do this, I could change it or use a compatible number. I wouldn't use rounding here because 460 wouldn't go back down to 450. But in this situation, a compatible number would be 45 because I know, that 5 times 9 equals 45. So then I would take this over and it would be my 0. Okay? So basically, the original fact, if I were to split it out then, would be 450 divided by, 460 divided by 9 would equal about 50. Okay, so this is my answer or my estimate. Okay, so it's all about finding the facts, but the extra step that we have to do from yesterday, all we had to do, it was set up like this for us, so we had to figure out what would go here and bring over our 0 or multiple zeros if we had them. This time we actually might have more than what we need to have our answer, so we actually are going to take this, figure out what times 9 would equal close to, or 46 or less. Okay, we can't go over because we're not going to overestimate when we're dividing. So we need to remember, actually, hold on. We're going to put remember you don't okay, now we're going to put you don't overestimate on division problems, and I'm going to go through and color this in because when you get through all this and you learn it, yes, there are times that you can overestimate on a division problem, but when it comes to this, we don't want to right now because it will actually help you when we move on and we do full long division. So right now we are going to put this, and then we're going to put ... for now, because that doesn't mean we won't ever overestimate on a problem, because that might not be the case. But for our situation now, we don't want to ever go above our basic fact that we're given. Okay, so I'm going to give you another example over here. We're going to start with 652 divided by 8. Okay, and we have to figure out the question. Does that make sense? So the first thing that we're going to do is think of, if we round, we'd go to 650 just to make it easier. So the first thing we're going to do is we're only going to round this one, 650 divided by 8. Okay, now I have that 0 that I know what to do with, just like yesterday's. Okay, now I need to figure out what times 8 equals 65. Well, I know that nothing is going to equal 65 because 65 is not a multiple of 8. I know that 64 is a multiple of 8. Okay, so I'm going to change this to 64 with a 0. Do my dividing. And now I can do what I normally would and put times equals. So what times 8 equals 64? And I know the answer to that is 8. Okay, so I'm just going to, just so when you're going back to look, you can see the steps. Okay, so now I'm going to put 64, 0 divided by 8 equals 8. And then we're going to bring over our 0. So I know that my answer, or my estimate, would be 652 divided by 8, which I'm going back to this one up here, equals about 80. And again, this is my estimate. Okay, so if I were to write that out in steps, I'm first going to, and this only works in this situation. It might, if it gets bigger numbers than that, obviously you'll have to stop and think about what place value you need to round to first, and then figure out the basic fact. Round to tens. And I always have to remember okay. So I don't want to go over. I'm always going to go back to, we're going to find the basic fact. I'm going to actually capitalize that because that is the beginning of my sentence. And 3, solve and add 0. And I'm going to put in parentheses zeros because in a different problem you might have more than one 0 to do there. Okay? Okay, so basically, as you can see, the biggest part is this extra step. Okay, so we have to round somewhere first. Up here we had to go from 460 to 450 because 46 was not a multiple of 9 and 45 is a multiple of 9. Down here we had one extra step because there wasn't a 0 here. We had to round to the 10th place to make it 650, and then we had to go to 640 because we knew that 65 was not a multiple of 8, but 64 was a multiple of 8. And then once we put down 64 divided by 8 equals 8, then we brought the 0 over. Okay, so most of the time you're going to want to think of this, how do we multiply and equal to get that? Okay, if you have any questions, come up and see me. Otherwise, I would really like you to bring up your first 2 problems that you get completed for me to check before you do all of your work today. And have a wonderful day, guys.